the psychology of women who are ugly. You probably assume that because I'm a man, I'm gonna say women are ugly because of their face, their body, their ass, their chest. And you would be absolutely wrong. Because the psychology of women who are ugly is solely about their mindset and their spirit. Because for an ugly woman, her mirror affects her thoughts affect her actions affect the response she receives from others, which is what each one of my 10 individual points is going to explain in more detail. And by the end of this video, you're either going to realize the mindset shifts that you need to make to stop being an ugly woman, or you're going to decide that I'm just some stupid YouTuber who has no idea what he's talking about, and absolutely none of this applies to you. The choice is yours. We're going to start off with my first point, which is about the mirror. Because what the ugly woman sees in the mirror is the foundation for the chain reaction of events that is going to come and make up her entire mindset. See, when this ugly woman looks in the mirror, she always sees a peasant. She sees specifically someone who is unworthy, someone who is not as good or desirable as other women. Other women are constantly always better than her, that nobody wants her, and that she is full of flaws. When she looks in this mirror, she's able to pinpoint each one of her individual unique flaws that make her unworthy, from her hair to her eyes to her nose shape to her body figure to the fat on the underside of her arm. Every single little thing you could possibly notice, she notices. She sees that in her mirror. And then that becomes a confirmation to her of exactly what was going on in her mind. Because all her mind is doing is projecting the image and the understanding of who she is onto this image in the mirror. And then she's using this mirror to confirm all of those thoughts. She goes out into the world and she uses that mirror and that new understanding of who she is, this peasant that she sees in the mirror. And she contextualizes every interaction that she has with man, woman, family, friends under this umbrella and this understanding of who she is. So when someone treats her like trash, she assumes that person treats her like trash because that's what she deserves. She is a woman who is less than. She is a woman who doesn't deserve to be treated as the other women who are more beautiful, more seductive, more attractive than they are. And this serves as the entire foundation for what they confirm when they go out into the world and interact with people, and what they choose to believe that they deserve or what their life should consist of based on this mirror. For point number 2, we're going to talk about romanticizing, but not in a good way. This particular type of romanticizing comes within the ugly woman who is constantly scrolling on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, and always romanticizing the relationship that other women have with their man through the highlights that those women will post on their stories and on their main feed, and is using that to confirm the image, like we just talked about earlier, that she sees in the mirror, to understand, oh yeah, that's why I don't receive these certain things from men or other people, or just from life in general, because I'm not as beautiful as these women, I'm not as attractive as these women, people don't desire me like these women, I don't possess the qualities, the charisma, the talent, I'm not as interesting as these women. And she constantly feeds herself this type of content and reminds herself through this content that I am not like those women. I don't have a BBL like that. I can't be like that even if I wanted to. I can't possess qualities like that even if I wanted to. But I want to romanticize the fact that they are able to live this life, not as a way of feeling like I can actually live that life as well, or that's something I deserve, but I romanticize their lives as a way of putting up their amazing lifestyle, the amazing treatment they get, the amazing awesomeness that their life consists of, to remind myself how garbage of a life that I have. To remind myself of how miserable I should be with every single aspect of my life. And they expand that, the ugly woman, the psychology of the ugly woman, she expands it even not just to the relationships that those women have. She romanticizes every aspect of that person or that particular woman's lifestyle. From her family interactions, oh, she's so close to her family, I wish I was that close to her family, I could never have that. To the money she receives, the career she has, the passions that she has, the hobbies that her friends, every aspect of that woman's lifestyle, She romanticizes to remind herself, I can't be like that, I won't be like that, and I don't even deserve that. Point number 3, the ugly woman is boy crazy. Specifically, she is in constant need of the boy's validation in order to build her identity of what she believes her value is. And so when men say we love you, it takes her over the moon. When men say we want you, it takes her over the moon. But the problem is the ugly woman is boy crazy, meaning she doesn't know how to compartmentalize the attention that she receives from men. So the attention from men becomes like quicksand, where she constantly needs more and more attention, no matter how much attention she gets. Even when she does receive attention from one man, one good man, she still needs more attention from more men more frequently, because there is never a way to satisfy this hunger when you are boy crazy. And this is where things become very dangerous, because there's no satisfying the hunger that this ugly woman feels for the attention from men. She stretches herself so thin, changes every last thing about herself, does absolutely anything she can possibly do at any moment in time just to receive attention from boys or men. And it doesn't matter if it's a romantic partner, it doesn't matter if it's a guy friend, it doesn't matter what the relationship it is that she has with that man. She is always in search of a man's validation. She will go out of her way to do it in any capacity, whether it be at work with her boss or with her coworkers, whether it be with a guy that she's dating, whether it be with a guy friend, whether it be with a friend of, or I should say, the boyfriend of a girl that is one of her friends. No matter what the capacity, no matter what the setting, a woman who is ugly in the mind is so boy crazy that the attention from men matters to her more than any friendship, any relationship she has with her family, her siblings. Nothing else will ever matter more than the attention of boys. Let's talk about point number 4, which is scarcity, because for the ugly woman, everything is always running away from her. She's constantly chasing down different aspects of her life because she lives in a state of fear, a scarcity mindset that I never have anything good happen to me or for me. And so I constantly am in fear that even when good things are happening for me, I'm gonna lose it. So they're always chasing things. And I'm not just talking about chasing as in naturally pursuing something. They're in a fearful state, in a desperate state that I am lacking everything good in my life. And anything that does come into my life, I'm probably going to lose it very soon. So whether it be friends, it be love, it be money, it be success, it always feels like that thing is running away from her. And because she feels that anxiety of it running away, she reacts and responds to it in a way that actually repels it further away from her. For example, with the relationships that she wants to have, she is in such fear that it's never going to happen for her. As soon as she meets a guy that's even a little bit good, that shows her a little bit of an inkling that he wants to be in a relationship with her, she and all her anxiety wrap him up, cover him up, smother him, and call him 24/7, text him 24/7, constantly bombard him with messages like, hey, you were at work, why haven't you texted me for the last 5 minutes? What have you been doing, right? And all of this anxiety and this fear state that she operates under actually pushes the guy that wants to be with her away. It stops her from being able to receive that type of love because of her fear state. Same thing with money. The opportunities that she should be getting if she just stayed focused on the things that she's passionate about, or the places that she's interested in, or has a lot of skill in, and developing her skill to be able to receive money from her talents and the things that she is good at. Instead, she spreads herself extremely thin, trying to do 100 different things, trying to get quick money here and quick money there and quick money over here. And it never actually comes to her because she's never in a state to receive it, because she's constantly desperate that it's going to run away from her. Point number 5, the identity of an ugly woman is non-existent. Why? Because for an ugly woman, she identifies herself simply as another man's wife or girlfriend. And see, the other man has his own identity. He can be a businessman, for example. He loves fishing. He wears camo everywhere. He's adventurous. He loves the outdoors. That's his identity. But this ugly woman attaches herself to that man, and the only way she knows how to identify herself is based on the fact that she is the wife or girlfriend of this man, and maybe through what he identifies himself with, she now uses that identity to say, well, this is me too. I want to be a businessman. I want to be interested in fishing. I want to wear camo everywhere and be interested in the outdoors, but she doesn't. She just attaches herself to this man and turns whatever he identifies with as her identity. This is where things become very scary for this woman psychologically, though. Now that she has based her entire identity off of being this man's wife or girlfriend, what happens when this relationship becomes rocky? Or doesn't seem to be going well, or possibly could be leading to a breakup? Now, a breakup doesn't just become, hey, you go your way and I go my way and we do our own separate things. A breakup becomes, no, you can't leave me. Without you, I have nothing. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I represent. I don't know what direction to go in. I don't even know what I like or I dislike. I need you to be able to help me build an identity for myself. And if you're not in my life, I have no way of identifying who I'm at. And it's way scarier for me to be in a life with no identity than it is for me to just stay with you, at least be able to build an identity off of being with you, regardless of the fact that our relationship is absolutely garbage. Point number 6, spinning. Specifically, as the kids would say, spinning the block. That's how the kids say it nowadays. Let me explain to you this concept, right? A man, or let's even say a person, hurts you, okay? Anyone, could be a family member, could be a friend, could be a girlfriend, right? Hurts you. You guys have a breakup, or the equivalent of a breakup in a friendship where you're just not friends with that person anymore. And then after a certain amount of time, eventually comes some sort of cheap, very lackluster, very low effort apology, maybe probably through a text or something. And then eventually that person gets to come back into your life. And after a certain amount of time, they hurt you again. And then the cycle continues again. This is what makes these women ugly psychologically, because they become a doormat to people who want to take advantage of them. They allow people to hurt them. And even though they acknowledge that they feel this hurt and they feel this pain, they don't acknowledge that I need to get better. I need to grow. I need to move forward in my life and move past this person in my life. And because they don't grow, because they don't develop spiritually and mentally, they continue to be a doormat and go in this circle over and over again. And they think it's cute. They think it's funny. They think it's quirky that they're allowing someone to hurt them in the exact same way over and over and over again. And the reason that this is happening is because psychologically, the ugly woman doesn't understand how to grow and move forward with her life. So she invites the energy of people who also don't grow and don't move forward in their life. Those people that hurt her in the past, because they're not growing, because they're not moving forward, they never change anything about themselves. They never change anything about their approach. They never change anything about their character. So the relationship that they had with that person in the past continues to be the same relationship over and over and over and over again. Which leads me right into point number 7, which is about growth. Because women who are healthy and attractive, sexy, seductive, they understand that growth is such an important part of life, of being seductive, of being attractive, because people want to see you get better with time. People want to see you age like wine. But the women who are ugly in their psychology, in their mental, in their spirit, they don't grow. They stay linear. They stay stagnant. In fact, sometimes they go backwards because in their mind, they don't feel it's necessary to actually make changes or adjustments to their life. Ugly women are incapable of identifying, okay, there are certain areas of my life that aren't working out how I want them to work out. In the process of them not working out, I need to begin searching for answers to figure out how to grow, how to get better, how to move forward. And then once I find those answers, I apply them to my life, and then I get better over the course of time. I don't continue making the same mistakes over and over again. But women who are ugly, they don't do that. They don't search for answers, so they don't find answers, and their growth is continuously stagnated. And so they become very frustrated with themselves and frustrated with their life and frustrated with their circumstances, and that misery builds up in them and is constantly expelled through their energy, through their aura, and they have this dark cloud around them everywhere they go because they're so miserable with their circumstances never changing. but they never actually attempt to change their circumstances. And that dark cloud is something that's felt by all the friends that interact with them, all the other girlfriends that interact with them, all the family members that interact with them. They all feel this darkness because of the misery that sits inside someone who is so unhappy with their situation that they can't bear to be in it anymore. So for point number 8, we're going to talk about joining them. One of the most miserable aspects of an ugly woman's psychology. She eventually gets to the point where she's been so hurt by men and the way that men have treated her that she decides, you know what the best thing for me to do is? I need to be more like the men. I need to adopt their mentality. I need to adopt their way of doing things. I need to adopt the way they sleep with women and don't care about them. The way they have a roster of women. I need to do that with men. The way that they are able to do friends with benefits and not build any deep connection or bond and everything is so unserious. I'm going to be just like them. I'm going to beat them at their own game. This is where things get really ugly. No pun intended. They get ugly because now that she's becoming more like the men, she becomes more like the men, meaning she builds up her own masculine energy and feeling of, hey, I'm going to sleep with people and be detached from them. But the problem lies in the fact that this doesn't actually identify with who she wants to be. Because remember, she's still a woman. So despite the fact she doesn't want to have feelings or to just have friends with benefits and not actually build a connection and not actually care about any of these people that are on her roster, she still ends up caring. She still ends up feeling attached. She still ends up feeling these feelings. But this frustrates her. And the ugly woman gets even uglier because now there's misalignment within her and her spirit. There's misalignment between who does she want to be and what does she want to represent and who is she actually being and what is she actually representing. And this misalignment causes a whole lot of turmoil inside that woman. Now when she interacts with other men that she meets, she doesn't know who she wants to be because she doesn't even know how she wants to receive things, what she's supposed to be receiving. A lot of her relationships end up being mismatched and misaligned because what she's representing is attracting a particular type of energy to her, i.e. more feminine men, because she's operating in her masculine energy, trying to be like the men. And then she ends up even more frustrated because now she's frustrated with how she feels internally, but she's also frustrated with the type of people she's attracting, which means she ends up frustrated with the type of relationships she's having, and everything becomes a miserable mess of misalignment and confusion stemming from the fact that she's trying to live in a truth she doesn't actually want to exist in. For point number 9, we're going to talk specifically about the spirit because, see, an ugly woman doesn't understand the importance of this concept. If she is going to be in her feminine energy, in order for her to do that, she has to properly take care of her spirit so that she is in the mindset to be able to receive. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. When a woman is taking care of her spirit by doing things that she enjoys, like reading, spa days, runs, walks, participating in her religion and getting deep in that, journaling, grounding, which just means going outside, touching the grass, being, outside, breathing in the air, okay? Right? Being around her family, being around her friends, her girlfriends, having a good time with them. All of these different things help her to take care of her spirit better. When she takes care of her spirit, she is at peace within herself. Then when she goes out into the world, she's actually at peace with herself to the point where she's able to actually receive from others, receive the energy she's supposed to receive the relationship she's supposed to receive the love and the care that she's supposed to be receiving. When a woman doesn't take care of her spirit, and this is how she becomes an ugly woman, she neglects all of these important aspects of taking care of her spirit, which leads her to easily be in that anxious, fearful state. That anxious, fearful state pushes her to feel like, no, I'm so anxious and I'm so scared and I'm so much in fear that things bad are gonna happen. We need to start taking more action desperately from a place of desperation to try and make our life work, to try and make things happen for us, to try and force things to happen in our life even though they're not happening. This desperation puts her in a more masculine state, like we talked about before. And once you're in the more masculine state, everything is in misalignment. So for the ugly woman, in not understanding how this puts her in a more feminine place, she ends up so frustrated with the place that she's in mentally, the place that she's in spiritually, and she doesn't even understand why, or why the fact that she's not giving attention to these areas is affecting her spirit. For point number 10, we're going to talk about putting things last. Specifically, we're going to talk about how the ugly woman puts herself last. Because everyone has needs, and everyone in the ugly woman's life has needs. Her mom and dad have needs, her siblings have needs, her work colleagues have needs, her boss has needs, her friends have needs, and the men that she's dating has needs. But the ugly woman doesn't understand that the most important part of managing herself, her life, her mental, her spiritual, is being able to understand that my needs come before any of these other people's. Because the only way I'm going to be able to actually serve these people, be a good friend, a good work colleague, a good partner to any of these people, is if I take care of myself. The ugly woman neglects herself and her needs to put everyone else's needs above hers. But how does that make this woman ugly? Because in the process of her putting all of these people's needs ahead of hers, she ends up inconveniencing and neglecting herself so much that it actually ends up hurting her own life. For example, she says, okay, well, mom and dad need me, so I'm not going to go into work today. I'm going to call in sick. Oh, but now my siblings need me, so maybe I won't go to work today either. Oh, but now my friends need me, so I'm going to skip out on work because we're out late and we're doing stuff. Oh, but now the guy that I'm dating wants to come and see me, so let me call in sick again, until the point where you lose your job because you've been putting everyone else's needs above yours. And now all of a sudden you're out of a job and you don't have no money because you've been neglecting the fact that what's most important is what's important to you. And now that you've finished inconveniencing yourself for mom and dad and your siblings and your friends and the guy that you're dating, none of those people that you inconvenienced yourself for are going to be helping you get a new job. And definitely none of them are going to be putting money into your bank account every single 2 weeks in order for you to be able to live your life and sustain yourself. And so all of a sudden, this becomes a very frustrating time for the ugly woman. And she gets ugly because now she begins resenting all of these people in her life because she abandoned the things that were important to her to inconvenience herself for these people. And now she resents them for being the reason she feels that she doesn't have what she needs. But the reality of it is the person that she's actually frustrated, and this is what makes her an ugly woman, is herself. She's frustrated with the fact that she doesn't understand how to tell people no, that she doesn't understand how to prioritize her own needs above others and say, despite the fact that you need me, despite the fact that I might be your only resource, despite the fact that you came to me because you trust and believe that I will help you, I am sorry, I can't. I have to do things for myself. When I get myself right, when I prioritize my own needs and accomplish my own goals, then I can be there for you. Then I can do for you. And in the process of me doing for you, I won't resent you because I won't be in a position that is horrible for me simply because I did all this work and effort for you.